This is Angus.
This is Angus, yep.
That's Grace. And Pep, he's about 1.5 years. She's about 11, and he's about 4.
And where did each one of them come from? Because they're all from different places.
They're all from different places. This dog came from down the valley, Harmony Road. Yep. Greg Marshall, great guy. This dog came from Paula Reardon in Enfield, and this dog came from Londonderry, Kevin Fitch.
There you go. So a few different lines. They're all working dogs.
They're all working dogs, yeah, which is part of the trouble.
So tell me what these dogs do, because they are working dogs.
They are working dogs. Basically what they do is they push Canada geese off property, mostly recreational property. And it started out on Lake Binook by pushing the geese off the lake when there was a lot of weed problems and things. And then we started doing one of the golf courses that was close to here that they just were becoming intolerant of the volume of geese that were there and the droppings that they leave behind on their golf course.
There's a lot of geese around these days. It seems to me that there are more geese, Canada geese, around Nova Scotia than there have been in the past.
Correct. And I think a lot of it's climate change. A lot of it is just because of the increase in recreational property and the McMansions and the lawns and, you know, all the lakes and streams and things of that nature. They just think it's great.
And they make a mess.
They make a mess. If you walk in it, you know, you try to play your sport of choice in it, it's just almost a deal breaker in some cases, whether we're going to go there or not go there, be it a playground or a soccer field.
The Canada goose has long been seen as one of the quintessential animals of Canadian wildlife. They are best known for the distinctive V-shaped pattern of the flocks as they move from place to place, and then there is their honk. There are now an estimated 7 million birds in Canada, more or less the same as the number of domestic dogs in the country. The pressure the increased goose population is putting on waterways and parks is real. Safe from many predators and urban environments, they feel right at home in many places, including golf courses.
So how did this start?
A 911 call. Like, can you get rid of Canada geese off a golf course? And
You were in pest management, right?
I was, and
like that was really your thing.
And
right?
everybody knew it, right? So anytime anyone had a problem that were in your circle of friends, they call you for free advice and free service and all of the rest. So it started really at Brightwood, which I had never set foot on, but I knew.
You don't golf.
No, and I knew the president quite well, and he said, "Can you get rid of Canada geese?" And I go, "Not sure, you know, try it." So we tried it, and the more I did research on YouTube and through the golf industry, you found out that it's quite common in other localities. It just hadn't come here because the problem hadn't got to that point.
Tell me about the relationship between geese and golf courses.
The relationship, wow.
Because I mean, Canada geese are kind of like, they're part of our culture, but we don't really like them.
They are actually, and for us at the golf course, they're a nuisance, and we wish there wasn't any relationship whatsoever, to be honest. With that being said, being part of our culture, we certainly don't want to harm them in any way, but we want to try and control them as best as possible. I've tried a few different techniques here with like noisemakers, and actually even bought a paintball gun, not to hit the geese with, but just to have something that I could. It's better than throwing rocks, something that is a little softer and wouldn't hurt them if it did somehow hit them, but it was more so just to splash the water around them, and that would tend to get them to the air, but none of those methods have worked as well as having the dogs on the golf course.
So coming from a pest control background, do you think you understand what's going on better than maybe some other people would?
I think you got to know the science of the species and their behavior, and I think I'm really good at that now. I don't think I was at the beginning, but I think I'm a lot better now. But then there's the dogs, and there's a lot of people that can train dogs to do lots of things, and it's somewhat of an art and science. You start out with a herding dog that can, they're kind of prey driven, they're using their eye, in order to intimidate something. But then you got to know when to start and when to stay still, and, how you're getting inside the mindset of the goose. So it's, people think, oh, the dogs are here, we're going to blow the geese off the course, and it's going to be chaos. It's much better to flank them and lay them down and hunt them kind of with their eyes and their body language, stalk them. That's what stresses geese, and that's what they remember. It's not I've got to get up in the air in order to get out of here. It's like, oh my soul, those collies are going to eat me, right? And that's how a coyote and a wolf and a natural predator would hunt.
This is a little bit more complex than just letting your dogs run across a golf course.
In many ways, it's more complex than even a lot of working dogs. I say it's a lot like herding sheep would be one thing, but herding sheep and driving them through a village at noon hour and getting to the other side, without causing a commotion is really what you're doing, because the golf courses are operating when we're there. They don't always want to interrupt what they're doing so that you can do what you need to do. So we have to do it kind of as a secondary thing, why the operation being maintained for mowing and things, or all of the vehicle traffic from gator trucks to golf carts to members playing golf, all of that's going on at the same time.
So we're looking for geese.
We're looking for geese, and this is prime real estate for geese. Usually it's that combination of grass and ponds and no predators.
Good sized ponds up here.
Yeah, and they're almost a little too big for the dogs in order to do their clockwise, counterclockwise. But this is kind of the vista where you can check out all of the different kind of areas where geese would sort of keep an eye out for us. So they metabolize golfers. They don't worry about them at all. They don't worry about the equipment. And what they'll do is they'll go over on that edge. Water is always a safety place for them.
Yep.
Because there's not much on water that could touch a can of geese. They're great swimmers. They have a serrated tongue. So dogs in the water are not a great idea. And but around the fringe, if they start hunting them, they just stress them to the point. But they need that vista where they can see how they could escape.
Okay.
Because they don't get off the water really fast. So they don't want a coyote or something jumping up and grab them as they depart.
Oh, that makes sense, yep. The other side of this is dogs and golf courses also don't generally mix.
No, we actually are closed to dogs 365 days of the year. We are in the middle of the city, so we do have a lot of people that come out here with their dogs late in the evenings and more so in the winter. And over the last few years, we've actually tried to put an end to that. I think a little bit still happens when we're not around, but overall, it's slowed down a lot, and I guess it's a little different when you have well-trained dogs like this that are working. They're not bothering golfers. They're staying out of the way. And usually when they're in any harm or any danger, Paul does a great job of calling them back in so that he can make sure that everybody's safe while they're playing golf or when the dogs are working.
So your job is to make sure that the members are happy, really, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you're kind of important here.
Yeah, they tell me I am, yeah.
So at one time, geese were a problem here, right?
That's correct.
And can you, as someone who's responsible for maintaining the grass and the grounds, what impact do geese have on the course?
Well, it's a lot of extra work for us because we need to go around and remove all of the droppings from the tees and greens and fairways, and the golfers don't particularly enjoy it. And yeah, it's a lot of work just to clean up after them, and obviously their droppings and urine can cause problems with the golf with the grass as well. So if it stays on for too long, it can damage it.
So that can even damage the turf itself.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can imagine what it looks like on greens when you've got all these little goose droppings everywhere.
Yeah. The other thing that tends not to go with golf courses is dogs.
Right.
So, how much of an adjustment is that to think about having dogs on a golf course?
Yeah, well, we hadn't seen him a whole lot this year. Since the geese have been gone, he comes by around at night. So when they were here in the daytimes, he kept them under control, and they were around the ponds, and basically everyone was so happy to have something chasing the geese off of the property that I feel like you probably could have had elephants out here. They would have been happy. Yeah. Whatever worked at that time, they were happy with.
Because it was that much of a problem.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was getting to be that much of a problem. It seemed like just more and more were coming as the summer went on.
We also kind of get rid of the ducks that are on a pond, and the reason is they almost act like a decoy for the geese.
Oh, okay.
So if the ducks are there and the geese are flying over, they think, well, that must be a nice place. It's like seeing a...
So you really want to get rid of all the waterfowl?
Well, the ducks aren't the big nuisance because of, the feces and what they leave behind, but they do attract Canada geese, almost like that decoy thing.
Okay.
Bye. Nope. Bye.
So you had Border Collies before?
I did.
So what was it about Border Collies? Because, you didn't get them to... This didn't start because I'm going to go start a line of geese hunting dogs.
No, I think Border Collies are kind of like Ferraris, probably, if once you've driven one. Like, it's... I had Golden Retrievers before Border Collies, and, they were sweet and nice, but... we used to do the farms down the valley for pest control, and when you see herding dogs work, it's just, I don't think I ever get tired of watching.
Mm. So how does one train some of these guys to do that? Because now you're in one case, you're starting here from a puppy.
Yes.
To actually learn this task.
Yes. And that, in many ways, was very intentional, so it was easier.
Okay.
You sort of picked the personality of the puppy. You didn't want the really active orangutan one, and you didn't want the one that was intimidated or kind of fear-based. You wanted kind of the average one in the middle. And then you wanted to pick a dog that wasn't going to disrupt your other two working dogs. And I thought a male, and a male. My female's older and probably going to be phased out. So right from the day I picked him up, he was going to be a goose dog. And that was easier than try to retool these dogs from their background to work on a golf course. And from the time he was about 9 weeks of age, he would come here almost every night and work on the fairway here with the bigger dogs. And that was courtesy of you allowing that. And thank you very much.
No problem.
Takes a long time to train these guys. And, they got to deal with the chaos. They got to deal with the equipment and the golfers. And, they just don't, you just don't get that when you grow up in a subdivision.
Tell me about the difference between training a dog from a puppy versus training a dog as an adult.
I think as a puppy, you can get to the real obedience So you can get to the here command, get them to on recall, which has to be perfect,
Yeah.
and to get them on the obedience, like to lie down, to stop whatever you're doing because there's something else taking precedent over that. That's easier with a puppy than it is with a dog that didn't grow up that way. So the sign is really a brainchild of Glenn, who was the general manager at the time when we first started to do Canada Geese here, and it was really an unknown whether it would work with Border Collies. And it was only by going through like YouTube and seeing what happened in other areas that you realized that Border Collies could really haze geese off a golf course. It took a while. So in any event, it worked quite well here, and Pepper was my original Border Collie that started it, and she passed, and Glenn, who invented the sign and gave us this parking spot in order to get out of the traffic, which was really a hazard to the dogs entering the course, he passed. So they're probably together over the Rainbow Bridge chasing geese somewhere. And but the sign persists, and it was just a gesture of appreciation, I think, to the dogs.
There are a lot of golf courses in Nova Scotia.
A lot.
How many of them are you doing?
We're doing 6 right now, and in many ways that's a lot. Particularly
That's
when
a lot
they
of
all
fun.
when you have to do spot treatment on all of them at the same time. It takes like all day, like to go from 7 in the morning till 7 at night sometimes to respond to the geese. And you've got to show up when they show up. You've got to have that interaction.
Yeah, this is an on-call type thing.
It's almost like a spot treatment. Once you get it under control, it takes a long time to get it under control, and then you don't want them to breed there. If they breed there, they'll hatch and stay for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Which is not a good thing.
Not a good thing at all. So, is this working? Like, are the geese coming back to the courses, or?
Well, I keep all the statistics of every call we've ever done, and it's amazing how geese will return to the same spot almost to the day.
Really?
It's creepy. And you can go sometimes 3 or 4 months where there's really not much activity, and then all of a sudden the calendar will turn and you'll see geese show up at all of the courses, because there's something going on. And some of that is just within the species, and they do have a molt in the summertime where they don't fly, and the young haven't gained their flight feathers yet. So there's about a 5 or 6 week period in the summer, if you got it all cleaned up, that it stays cleaned up. But once you get into that first week of August, they start to appear.
And so you don't go on vacation in August?
No, and to me, this is I'm the kind of guy that I have done what I wanted to do, and this is what I wanted to do now.
You've been here 13 years.
13 years.
Over that time, have you seen the goose problem increase?
I think it did. I think when I started, we definitely had some around in the spring and the fall. Not as bad as I'd say 5 to 8 years ago. I think it really picked up. And then Paul's been here 4 years now, and it's definitely declined drastically since he's been coming around with the dogs. And it's as simple as right now they're laying down around the ponds, leaving their scent there, and the geese come in, and instead of having those big droves and those big numbers, they're smart birds, and they know that it's not a safe place for them to be.
If Paul lived in the country with his Border Collie, perhaps he would herd sheep. After all, his latest pup is from Paula Reardon's working dog lines, and she is all about sheep. But Paul lives in the city, and removing geese from parks and golf courses is his passion. A passion that golfers clearly appreciate.
Do they have a favorite course?
I think they do. I think the new ones that have geese.
Yeah.
Like, I get a little bummed out if they go and there's no geese.
Oh, okay.
So we normally respond to the courses we've been on, to a text. In other words, there's geese and they tell you where. But these guys are getting so efficient that they can do a golf course in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
It's incredible. Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, golf course is a big area.
Well, they are. They're 150 acres on average, probably. But then you get these curveballs. We would go to a traditional golf course, and all of a sudden you're pulling in the parking lot, and somebody's stopping you and say, "Park over there," and you go, "Okay." And then they're having a big fundraiser that day, where they're having a shotgun start. So there's like 400 people in front of the club post with golf carts and sponsor tents and whatever. And where you've got to go is through all of that to the other end of
Because they want the geese gone before their event
They do,
starts.
and because they are intimidating, right? And it's a reflection on the maintenance of the course. So you just kind of go, I trust my dogs, and I'm going to walk right through the middle of this. And you've got to have a certain pace when you do it. But it's like, I'm sure for the shepherds, is bringing those sheep through a village to the other side of the village. Like, you got to have a certain momentum, and you just hope it doesn't unravel. But these guys are great. It's unbelievable how they can do that.
Do you feel like a shepherd?
No, I don't feel like a shepherd. They really know what they're doing. These dogs only do a small version of that, but you get to know their body language and trust them. And here they are. They're just, they're not chaotic.
They're not doing the Border Collie crazy thing.
No, and nor do they have that warrior gene in them, like some of them do. Some of them are, just like that, can flip. And these guys are pretty calm, pretty cool, right, Grace? Yeah. Yeah.
You're just getting old.
Cranky. That'll do. That'll do.
Because you're here mostly weekdays, I would think.
And weekends, and the geese are smart. They'll, and we keep books and logs of every golf course where we've seen them, time of day, and all of the rest. And the geese will adapt to that just to get rid of the collie. So if they're normally come in the morning, 4 months later they'll start coming at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So they're a worthy adversary.